Just tell me when to go. And then like that, like that. All right, everyone, it's 7 o'clock. Everyone ready? Okay, welcome to tonight's mayoral debate, coming to you from the Nock Middle School auditorium. My name is Dave Rogers, and I'm the editor of the Daily News of Newburyport. It's my privilege to be here tonight moderating this debate. And the goal of this evening is to give local residents more insight into the candidates for mayor, Mayor Sean Reardon and challenger Jim McCauley, and before heading to the polls on November 4th. While this forum is being broadcast on local television, there's also a sizable contingent of people in this auditorium watching live, obviously. And in an effort to save as much time as possible, I'd like you to hold all your applause till the end. The following format has been agreed upon by the candidates. Candidates will have a minute each for opening statements and another minute for closing statements. In between, I will ask questions submitted by readers or crafted by me. Some of the questions will be directed towards an individual, some towards both of them, and candidates will have 90 seconds to respond. I may ask follow-up questions to keep a conversation going should I deem fit, and the candidates will have a minute to answer those follow-ups. Candidates will also have a chance to ask their opponents questions. Candidates will have a minute to respond, and again, I may ask some follow-up questions, 60 seconds for those follow-ups to my follow-ups. And I'm asking candidates to adhere to the time limits and keep this forum as fair and balanced as possible. And per coin toss, Mayor Reardon will deliver the first opening statement of the evening, so it's to you.
All right. Good evening, friends and neighbors. I'm Mayor Sean Reardon, and I'm proud to be running for re-election to keep Newburyport moving forward. I ran for mayor because I love this city. I grew up here. I'm raising my family here, and I believe local government should be a bridge between our values and our everyday lives. Over the past 4 years, we've paved and repaired more than 15 miles of streets and sidewalks, expanded Market Landing Park, strengthened our schools, and led on climate change and clean energy. From building resiliency into everything we do to our first net zero fire station. We've balanced budgets, protected our AAA bond rating, and leveraged millions in state and federal funds to get the big things done. I've governed with honesty, collaboration, and respect, because leadership isn't about division or scare tactics, it's about results. Newburyport is thriving, but our work isn't done. Tonight I look forward to sharing how we'll keep building a city that works for everyone. Safer streets, more housing, and a resilient, sustainable future for the next generation. Thank you.
Councilor McCauley, your turn.
Thank you for welcoming me tonight. It's an honor to be among people who care deeply about the city. I'd like to thank everyone who came tonight, the moderator, and my opponent. Newburyport's a special place where my wife and I raised our 2 children, and the place I've been involved in community-based organizing for 3 decades. For the past 6 years, I've had the honor and privilege to serve as a city councilor representing Ward 5. During my tenure, I've led on a number of issues: traffic calming, pedestrian safety, growth for our businesses through outdoor dining and economic development. I've contributed to growth in our housing initiatives via MBTA zoning, as well as a recent upzoning of residential areas. I'd also bring 40 years of business experience. Through those years, I've helped companies of all sizes overcome their business and complex challenges. But this election isn't about the past, it's about our approach to the future. What we do today will shape our Newburyport of tomorrow. I hope you'll entrust me to be that leader that ensures our city remains a place where families thrive, seniors feel supported, and young people see a future. Thank you.
All right, the first question is for both of you, and here we go. What will you do to not only maintain the city's outstanding public education system, but improve it? Is that even possible in this day and age? Mayor Reardon, can you go first?
Well, first, I think our schools are really one of the most important things we have here in the city. And I think I'm the most qualified candidate to keep leading the schools as the school committee chair. I'm a former sales rep for a education company. I was in that for 15 years. I worked with school districts all over the state. I used that experience to get on the school committee, where I've now been for 8 years, the last 4 as chair. We have tremendous schools, but we should always be striving to do better. And I think what makes our school districts so successful, I think one, we have sustained leadership. Sean Gallagher has now been in the position for 8 years. The average around Massachusetts is 3.5. We have an incredible staff, wonderful families we get to work with. And lastly, we have the support from the community through the NEF and the PTO. Just a wonderful support for our kids. NEF has given $5 million to our school district. What else can we do? I think we're really great at identifying where we need some improvement. I think we're really great at targeting and using the data to look at that. I mean, 2 areas that I see right away is 8th grade math and early literacy, which we're already attacking here in our school district and working with our teachers and staff to get the professional development they need. I think MCAS scores around the state, you see a little bit still having that lull after COVID. And I think that we're no different than anywhere else, but I do think we have the right plan in place. We just updated our strategic plan. We have our portrait of the graduate. We have the right tools in place, and I look forward to keep leading our school districts to be bigger and better each and every day.
Councilor McCauley, your turn.
Thank you. I do agree that our schools are very good, and our schools are a very important part of our community. They represent the future of our children, and you can't underestimate the value of a great education. We do have a solid leadership. We have committed staff. We have dedicated parents, and we do spend money. We roughly spend $40 million a year directly educating our children. But there are some things, as noted. We're not making progress. We are falling behind of our COVID, catching up on COVID learning loss. And that's frustrating. That's got to be frustrating for everyone because they've spent some time and effort doing that. We have schools that are well rated and respected throughout the state. But we're falling in our ratings. For example, the high school, our crown jewel by one rating mechanism, is a top 10 school. It's 138 out of 1,700 schools. But just 3 years ago, it used to be 32. So it's not so much what we're doing wrong. It's more along the lines of we should be asking ourselves, what are other communities doing better to help surpass us? And I think that with my involvement with the school committee, if elected, that we'd start asking some better questions about where we want to go. Again, that's not to doubt some of the things that are going on, but we do possibly need new leadership here to be able to drive them. Thank you.
So, which one of you wants to be known as the champion of funding local schools? Can you make a case, please, Councilor McCauley?
Yeah, sure. So I have to go back to my upbringing. My father worked in the Everett Public School System 42 years. He was the principal for 15 years of Everett High School. And my 2 sisters both were teachers and went into the business. My father, when my father retired, he died 6 years after he retired. And at the funeral, there were over 1,000 people that showed up that day. And probably 20% of them were students, former students that he had. And the message that he had, they shared was that my father actually changed their life. They changed their life because he showed them the power of education. He made them get an education. He tweaked them to be a better person, to try harder. He helped his staff challenge students better going forward. And so anyone who thinks that I'm going to cut schools' funding for any particular reason is just plain wrong. I will fully fund schools to the best of my ability and the best of the city's ability so that we can get the better outcomes for our students. Thank you.
Mayor, you have 90 seconds to respond to that if you want.
How much?
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Well, first I'd say, I think, Mr. McCauley, why people are questioning that is because you have continually tried to cut money from our schools since your time on the city council. But I too, I came from a long line of teachers and firefighters. I'm looking at a lot of my former teachers, relatives, right in front of me here tonight. And my first job after graduating from Ohio State was right here at the middle school. I worked for the school district. I also worked for Triton. And like I said, then I spent 15 years in the educational sales space. Our schools are special places. Knocking on doors this fall, when I run into the young families, you hear the reason why they're in Newburyport is because of our schools. And so that's a big responsibility, right? Because we have to keep that progress going, and then we have to be able to identify how can we be better. I can't speak to what ratings he's talking about from many years ago, but our schools are constantly changing. I mean, the school I went to is not the school that my kids are going to right now, and I have 3 school-age kids. I have a senior, a sophomore, and a freshman in our public schools right now, and I'm really proud of that. But we can always strive to be better, and I think that partnering with the state, taking aware of the Career Pathways program, coming up with the vocational internship program with the Peterson School, our schools are constantly looking to be cutting edge, whether it be Sailbot or Makerspace. I mean, there are so many great, incredible things that we're doing at our high school, and we're giving our kids so many more opportunities than I ever had as a high school student. So I think we need to continue doing that, continue investing in our kids, and we'll be the best school. We'll continue to be one of the best school systems in the state.
I think I heard on local pulse that the school budget is 58.6% of the overall city budget. And I'm wondering, do you think public schools receive too much of the city's annual budget, Councilor McCauley?
No, I don't. When you have to look around not only the state of Massachusetts, but in other communities, other states as well, funding schools is expensive, right? It's expensive because it involves labor, it involves buildings and things like this that we're sitting in. And so we have to account for those things. And so 60% is maybe a good number, but we also have to remember that we're running the rest of the city on the other 40% along the way. So if 58% can become 57% or 59% as opposed to fully 60%, I think we've made some great strides, but I don't think that that's too much.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's 60%. There's a lot of fixed costs involved with schools. I think there's, like we have outside pressures on the city side of the budget, we have outside pressures on our school budget as well, and these are problems that all 350 cities and towns in Massachusetts are dealing with as far as rising special education costs, transportation costs. Again, this is the largest department we have in the city with over 500 employees. There's benefits that we have to consider. There are, again, it's 80% people, right? We're dealing in the people business with our schools. So sure, it's a lot, and I think we do a great job of balancing how do we keep moving our school district forward, but also taking that last 40% that my opponent just mentioned and doing the best that we can possibly do and keep delivering the services that we can with that 40% for the rest of the city.
Okay, we're going to move on to another topic, and it's going to be Kmart. Dun, dun, dun.
I don't think that's a store anymore, Dave.
So this is a question for both of you, and I think, Mayor, you can go first on this for 90 seconds. Should the city vigorously strive for safe harbor status in terms of affordable housing to avoid unfriendly 40B developments? Mayor?
Well, so, Kmart's it's a big topic right now, right? We're right in the middle of our zoning board of appeals process. The developer of Kmart, it's a private development, approached us about, entering into this friendly 40B. We're currently beneath that 10% threshold for affordable housing. We've been, the last 4 years, we've been trying to do our best to add to that affordable housing stock. In fact, when I took office, we just that spring got into safe harbor status, and when the project didn't move forward, we dropped back below. So that was one of the things that intrigued me about it by working with the developer and getting them to that 25% threshold. So we're allowed to count all of those 212 units. I think that was a big public benefit for me, because it would protect us from future 40Bs, particularly Waterfront West. That's what I have in the back of my mind. I want that, take that off the table for NED as they move forward and think about what they're going to do on Waterfront West. But there's also a lot of concerns that go with it. Traffic is a huge concern there. And I think, the ZBA process has been thorough in that they're really attacking each piece of the project. And then we have 2 more months to go with that, so I encourage all of you, if you're not paying attention to it, please come out to these public meetings and let your voices be heard. This is a property right now that gets us about $16,000 of revenue each and every year. So with this project, that will jump to close to $700,000 in revenue. So I do think it's an important project. We do need the rentals here in the city. We've lost over 200 rentals since 2010. This will add, a different type of housing, and I think that we need to do that when you have my time is up, when we have so much of the city that's built out.
Councilor McCauley, 90 seconds.
Yeah, so Kmart is an underutilized space within the city. It's no secret that I initiated discussions with the developer 4 years ago. He admitted it in the Daily News in an article. But we were talking about a smaller type of development at that particular time, and it had mixed use in it. And I understand the direction that we took in 40B and trying to move to get into safeguard or safe harbor. But I'm less afraid of 40B. 40B is really a comprehensive permitting process. It's not onerous. What it is it's a streamlined process going forward. And so it has some benefits on both sides. I'm less afraid of 40B at the waterfront. They would have filed it already. But understand there's restrictions on 40B, and there's a cost of capital return that NED has that just wouldn't fit within these process of 40B and the restrictions that they have there. In terms of Kmart itself, yes, it will bring in increased revenue. In discussions, like everything, it was 500,000, 600,000, now it's close to 700,000. But what's missing here in particular, and we are in active negotiations via the ZBA, is that there are so many mitigation efforts on not only traffic and pedestrian safety and bike paths, et cetera. It's just the city is going to have additional funding requirements.
Thank you.
Can I just take 2 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Just
Give a minute.
2 seconds.
Give a minute to respond.
It's just important to note, too, that the developer is using the 40B tool, right? 40B is a great tool, but the developer is the one that gets to do that. And I think when Mr. McCauley was having those conversations with Port Plaza, we were in safe harbor status, so 40B wasn't on the table. When it came back on the table, that's why that developer was able to come back with that and increase the density there.
So, Councilor, is there anything good about 40Bs? I mean, you mentioned that it's not all bad, but what's good about 40Bs?
So 40B has a comprehensive, single permitting process. We're going through that right now with the ZBA. The ZBA is going through a very public process of negotiation. There's no private meetings. Everything is done in the chamber of where the ZBA meets. So that's, first of all, the very nature of being a public process is an advantage. The second part of that is it does streamline and moves projects quickly through the system. You don't have to go to the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board and then to the ZBA and then back to the Conservation Commission. This board, ZBA, will be able to do a comprehensive permit, and they will ask all the questions, and we should have faith and trust in their ability to negotiate that. So it does have some advantages, and it does have advantages in moving projects quickly through the system, but we also have the ability to negotiate with the developer before they come in on some mitigation efforts.
Anything else you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I agree. I think 40B is a tool, and right now, when you're dealing with a housing crisis, we're 200,000 units across the state. Each city can look for ways to do their part. We're below our 10% threshold. We should be doing a better job trying to bring more affordable housing to the city. Kmart's going to allow us to get over that threshold, but we also have some other projects in the pipeline that will have some affordability components to it. I mean, I think the Brown School is a good example of that, something that we own, that we're able to pick a developer, keep the unit count down so it didn't impact the neighborhood, but then also get to move forward with some deeply affordable housing there, which was our goal all the time. So I do think 40B can be a tool for me, again, as trying to look out for the best interests of the city. I do have Waterfront West in mind. They didn't move forward with anything yet. But if that's on the table, I mean, if I could take that off the table, that's going to help us, work with them on some sort of project down there that will have to go through a very public process.
I think you both mentioned this, but I'm not sure, maybe only you did, Mayor, but concerning the costs associated with providing services for those living at the proposed Kmart development, will the city be spending more money than collecting new taxes to provide services for those folks?
You're asking me?
Yes, Mayor.
Oh, I don't believe so, no. Again, I think when you look at that project as a whole, again, that's why the ZBA process, and I think we're so lucky to have, dedicated residents serving on the ZBA that bring a lot of experience to a lot of these different aspects of the project, and that's why it's so thorough, right? You're hearing from experts in all these different facets of the project. The way we looked at it, it's not going to be an overbear on our water and sewer, which is a huge concern. We do have the water sewer capacity to handle a project there. Again, traffic seems to be the biggest mitigating factor, and again, they're working through it. We actually just had a meeting yesterday. I wasn't in the meeting, but some of the ZBA, some of the city, and then the developer met a little bit to talk a little bit more about some of the traffic mitigation. So I do know they're working on it. They're hearing what residents say, which again is why it's so important that people come out and voice their concerns about this project, because it will have an impact on what's being recommended as we move forward. But no, I think it's a project that at the end of the day, getting to put it into a building where that's been vacant for 7 years, that's been designed to handle traffic. Again, I think what people forget is if they came in with a Trader Joe's, we'd all be thrilled, but it'd be 4 times the amount of cars that'd be coming in there each and every day, and they wouldn't have to do anything to mitigate against it. So the fact that we are going through this friendly 40B process, it gives us a path to get some public benefit out of this and really push the developer to make some changes to the plan.
So you think it's a moneymaker?
I think it's a moneymaker, absolutely.
Councilor McCauley, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we already gave the developer a $1 million subsidy on our sewer privilege fee.
Not really.
Yes, it's a waiver.
Well, we've had four legal opinions that say they would do that. So
it's actually. Excuse me. It is a subsidy because it would have gone into retained earnings and it would have been applied to the sewer projects that we have pending. So it is a subsidy. It's lost revenue there. The traffic issues and mitigations that have to happen, I've been very involved with Colby Farm Lane, and I think we're underestimating the impacts there. The estimate of Colby Farm Lane to fix that intersection is $2.5 million through. And we're lucky enough to be part of Safe Routes to School, so we don't have to carry that burden. But what we're seeing here is a similar type of pass by the developer. They are offering us $75,000 for mitigation on a project that could easily cost $4 or $5 million. And at $5 million, the city would have to carry a bond of $500,000 a year. So we're already at a break-even point. That's stretching reality. So it's not necessarily a moneymaker for the first 10, 15 years or so because of the investment we would have to do to fill in and subsidize the development there. I think these things should be brought up now as the ZBA is negotiating because offering us $75,000 for traffic mitigation is an insult. And
Time's up.
Sorry. I just don't see your card.
Mayor?
I'm sorry.
well, yeah, just to get to the subsidy part again, I mean, we've had 3 legal opinions that say we didn't give them any deal there, that we couldn't charge a privilege fee for something that was going to be paid off this year, right? So like when you pay off your house, you don't keep paying the mortgage company, you stop, right? So that's something that we should all get out there. I know that Mr. McCauley's trying to get a 4th legal opinion that will cost the residents a certain amount of dollars, but hopefully we can get that finally cleared up. And I appreciate the Water Sewer Commission for all their work on that. Yeah, no, like I said, I mean, there are certain things that we certainly have to work out these next 2 months with the ZBA as we work through that process. But as far as subsidizing and then putting more into it. The 75K number was certainly thrown out there early. I'm telling you right now, they are moving off that number and they're going to come up with a solution down there. And hopefully it fits into what the ZBA will be asking for.
So this is a question for both of you. Oh, do you want to say something else, Jim? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do.
Just do it a minute, okay? 1 minute.
Sure, thanks. It's just the point about the third and fourth legal opinion. The city had a legal opinion from our previous attorney, 2 of them actually, that defended the rights of the privilege fee. We had a recent opinion from our current council that said, had a different conflicting opinion from that one. And we're seeking a third, not a fourth, we're seeking a third independent opinion from a legal specialist in this to make sure that what we're doing is legal to be able and is classified appropriately going forward, because we do have a privilege fee that could still remain there and help the ratepayers, the sewer ratepayers, as there's additional development in that area. Thank you.
I'll just say real quick, I don't
You
even
have the last word.
5 seconds. It is the fourth because we have a special attorney that we're working with the ZBA right now, Pierce Atwood, who completely signed off on the opinion from our city solicitor. So that's why we've had 3 different now law firms look at this. So I just wanted to say that.
So we're going to have one more Kmart
One
question.
more.
One more
Get the
Kmart
answer.
question, then we're going to move on. So if not Kmart, where can the city add more affordable housing? One reader suggested to me that industrial park, which tells me there aren't any great options out there other than Kmart at this moment. Councilor McCauley, you want to go first on that one?
Yeah, so the city council's actually been working on this, and city council really owns zoning for the most part. So we've tried different initiatives. We've worked on passing the Brown School, which was needed to be able to do that. We've passed the MBTA Communities Act. There's still spaces down there and houses to be built, so we've already taken that. We've added in accessory dwelling units throughout the city by right in compliance with the state laws. And so, we think that what's missing here is the mixed use aspect. Kmart is an example. We would have been better off if we had a mixed use facility there. Commercial is just as valuable to us as residential is. If we look to the industrial park, then we're taking out a very competitive aspect of our community and a vibrancy. Our commercial base is, although small, I think we could grow that by expanding down there on a commercial level, not necessarily on a residential level. So I think there are places, and I think the council has already taken steps to do that. And so there are always places to do more, but we've missed some opportunities. For example, at the corner of High Street and State Street in the new development, looks great, but there's no affordable units out of those 4. So we did miss an opportunity there.
Mayor, same question to you, 90 seconds.
Yeah, I think because Newburyport is so built out and there's such a housing crisis in the city, when you start talking about affordability, the only thing that's going to help that is some more housing, right? And we have to be really strategic about where we look for that housing. A few things were mentioned. I don't think the business park is the place for there. I think of all the other things that we have to do to that to make that more friendly for residential. But there are places around the city. You think about that third building, Minco building down at the 40R district where Haley's was. That should start next year. We talked about Waterfront West a little bit. That could be a significant housing project. We're talking about Kmart now. That's another significant housing project. ADUs, I think we're going to see more and more residents think about that option for ADUs, accessory dwelling units, on their property where it works in the city. One area that I'm working with our state and federal partners on is the parking ride. The parking ride has been vacant now for a number of years, before I took office actually, and it's just sitting there, right? We've had very little success trying to lure some other bus companies here, but we have been talking consistently with Mass DOT, who owns that property, on housing there. I think it'd be a perfect place for affordable housing or senior affordable housing. There are some hoops there we have to jump through because federal dollars were used in 2011 to expand it. But the Lieutenant Governor and Governor Healy are well aware of what we want to try to do there, and they've been great partners. I'm going to continue working with them in my next term to make that happen.
All right, I think we've done enough Kmart for now. We're going to move on to something else. Actually, this is probably a good time for the candidates to ask each other a question. Mayor, do you want to ask your opponent a question?
Sure. I wrote them down, sorry.
Answer it.
Okay. Councilor McCauley, in this campaign you have touted yourself as a fiscal conservative, but you haven't put forth any specifics about what you would do if elected. You have also claimed you will not cut from schools or reduce staff, but you think you can get the budget to 2 to 2.5% this year. To me, that math problem just doesn't add up. What specifically will you do?
So, first of all, I know that several people have tried to take a pass at this to understand what I'm trying to talk about. And I do think that we can get to 2% cap on our levy and expanding our expenses in doing so. And I think the numbers work out pretty well. We have good growth. We have local receipts that we have to be able to grow that. And so what I'm proposing here isn't a straight line, one-dimensional type of approach, which we've done in the past and everyone does around the state, but rather to look at a multivariable financial modeling. And not only have I run this by some financial experts that I know outside of the city, but we've also done some AI modeling on this as well. So we think that we can ask for a 2% levy, and next year, adding in maybe $200,000 or $300,000 to our levy capacity, and meeting 100% of the expenses that are here today, as well as projected growth over the next year. It's just that. It's financially modeling to make sure that it happens.
Okay. Counselor, you want to ask your opponent a question?
Do I have a question? What would be your favorite pathway to provide property tax relief to seniors?
Yeah, so we're trying to tackle this right now. I think when I'm out knocking on doors or I'm in the senior center 2 or 3 times a week, there is definitely a segment of seniors right now who have lived here for a very long time. You know, they probably bought their homes for $120,000 and now they're worth $1.2 million, which is just crazy to think about in the time that they lived here. And they want to stay. They don't want to go someplace else. They could sell that home and make an incredible return on their investment, but then they wouldn't have any place to go in Newburyport. So it is a difficult thing to tackle. I did just mention in the previous question about getting more different types of housing here in the city so seniors have options. I think that's one. Again, I think rentals are needed now because that was never an option when I was growing up or when my parents were growing up. It was so focused on buying that house. And I think now, because of the climate we're in, I think we have to be open to different housing options and to stay in Newburyport. And again, I prioritize. Again, I've struggled living here my time in Newburyport from growing up here to now. I've lived in 10 different addresses in Newburyport over the years for a variety of reasons. But that struggle of affordability to stay here because I prioritize raising my family here was just so important to me. So what we've tried to do recently is our Senior Affordability Task Force. So we've got together boards and commission members, residents, and now we've got staff who's been working on resources that we're going to be able to provide seniors and make sure that they're taking care of these opportunities, the resources that we have here in the city. I'll stop, I guess, it's time's up. Okay.
This is a question for both of you. So what are your plans to invest in the future of Newburyport with a focus on younger families and their needs? Councilor McCauley, go first. 90 seconds.
I'm not sure I heard the full question. I'm sorry.
What are your plans to invest in the future of Newburyport with a focus on younger families and their needs?
So I think we've taken some steps in younger families typically like to be part of the schools community. Most of them go to schools. I think our schools do a wonderful job of welcoming all new parents in and young families. I think that we finally put to bed the discussion about having a rec center. We had a vote, and we're moving forward with it. So we have 2 different pathways. We have a pathway for children who are pre-K that can be entertained and have programs at the proposed rec center. We can have schools that do a wonderful job. Schools have expanded their extracurricular and after-school type programs free to the students. And then we can all come together again after school as well in various programs that are being run. Some are city-run, some are run by private entities like the Y, et cetera. I'm learning more and more that we have a wonderful service-based organizations throughout the city that offer great programs. Custom House Maritime, library, things like that. They all create a wonderful experience for our younger families and community.
Mayor, same question. You want to repeat it, or do you have?
No, I'm good. I think we're doing a lot of these things right now, and I think that's why I'm hearing the excitement of the young families at the doors when I'm knocking about getting to Newburyport. I do think we got the Recreation and Youth Center finally passed, which was amazing. That was a huge effort, something that we worked on for those 3 years. So I think that's great that we're moving forward with that. That's going to, again, help those families that need that after-school programming or that, opportunities for their kids to connect with others in a safe space outside of the school. So I think that's wonderful. We're going to keep moving forward with our school-related programs. But I also think a lot of the things that we're doing around the city is what young families are looking for. Look at the investments we've made in parks around our city, leveraging those Community Preservation Act funds. We did the Hop Top area at the middle school this year, 4 brand new basketball courts, 3 new tennis courts, Atwood Park, Woodman Park, Lower Atkinson, 2 brand new universally accessible playgrounds, the first 2 ever in the city. We're doing the things right now to help our children and youth here in Newburyport, and I want to keep going the next 4 years.
Great, thank you. So, Mayor, what do you say to residents who believe the city should have remedied the city's water infrastructure water infrastructure deficiencies before tackling the Low Street Recreation Center and Market Landing Park?
So I think a big thing with projects, and we've done a lot of them over the last 4 years, and I'm really proud of all the work we have done across the city, right? I think it's important when you talk about projects is know that they're all funded differently, right? I just mentioned the Community Preservation Act, right? That's a 2% surcharge that gives us like $1.2 to $1.4 million each year, and we've put that money to use all across the city. When you talk about our water infrastructure projects, and I've been working on them with our team for the last 3 years, they're incredibly expensive and complex projects, right, that we've been trying to move through the development phase. They were working on them before I took office. Mayor Holliday down there started working with those projects. They're big projects, Indian Hill Pipeline, water treatment plant upgrades, and then the Lower Artichoke Dam. Never mind all the watershed protection that we're trying to do. Those aren't paid the same way, right? We can't use community preservation acts for those. And they're also big ticket items, right? We're talking about 20, 30, even $50 million for some of those projects. Those projects are going to be paid with the enterprise funds of water and sewer, and those are going to be bonded off of those, and that's going to affect the ratepayer. So again, when we look at those across the board about what we're trying to do, Rec Center, that's why a democratic process was put forward. People got to go out and say yes or no, and luckily 61% of the people that day came out and voted for that project, and that's why we're moving forward with it, and it's going to impact generations here in Newburyport. Water projects are no different. We have to continually, thoughtfully plan out these projects in the next 4 years, so when those infrastructure dollars are coming back down, we've got shovel-ready projects that we're ready to do, but it's not a pick one or the other, right? It's like, which funds do we get to do to move these things forward, because the water projects are incredibly important. There's nothing more important than our water supply.
Right. Councilman McCauley, your turn.
Sure. I think it's a bit of spilled milk about the rec center. We took a vote. It's over. We're moving on building that. But the discussion, that part of it is, should we prioritize water projects? That is a yes, 100%. Everyone expects to have clean, safe drinking water. They expect the city to take the steps necessary to ensure that that's coming down the pike. Are they expensive? Yes. It's also one of the things that we just talked about. We gave away $1 million of potential retained earnings to a developer. And so we out of our water and sewer retained earnings budget, that's going to fall onto the ratepayers. I think that I've had the honor of being part of an ad hoc committee to reprioritize the water projects. I think in 3 meetings, we've made tremendous progress, and the reason being is because of the work that was previously done. Having a council view on this shows that we're better at risk management, and we're better at building financing to be able to get these projects moving forward. I look forward to more discussions in that, and we will get some solid recommendations by the end of the year on the reprioritization of the water project, so rest assured.
Any more comments, Mayor, about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, they're incredibly important projects, and they have been the last 3 years as well. I mean, these are incredibly intricate projects that the water department has been working on. We also have a couple of big sewer projects that we're now talking about that need to be done as well. So these are incredibly important projects. Again, the way I want to build this out and the way we set up our CIP this year is to have a thoughtful way to get these projects ready, to shovel ready, because we're a regional supplier of water, and we're going to be ready to get those dollars because we can't do this alone.
Councilor, last word on this?
Yeah, you know, we don't use CIP. We've talked about this. We don't use CIP for these projects. We use them out of enterprise funds, your water and sewer rates. And guess what? They're potentially going to go up, and they have to go up to be able to afford these projects. And I think we've done a poor job in telegraphing the fact that we have very expensive projects coming down the pike, and you have to see it as an additional tax, not only from your real estate tax, but now you have a water and sewer increase as well. And so that's why I think prioritization is very important, and I think that you know, we were stuck in a little bit of paralysis by analysis with some of our engineering types. We have fantastic engineering drawings, but on the other hand, we need to move these projects to reality, and that involves you know, working with the council on a more collaborative effort. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to another topic. Mayor, although you've never admitted to it publicly, it comes across as some that you consider the current city council a hindrance. I give an example as your prior attempts to extend Human Resources Director Drona Delik's tenure with the city, despite the city council's vote not to extend her contract. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I think it's nothing new as far as, you know, tension between the 2 branches of government. You know, 4 years ago when I ran, you know, as a school committee member, I ran against a sitting city councilor, you know, a really smart city councilor who'd been on there for a number of years. And I saw from afar, like you're all watching me and Councilor McCauley tonight, you know, that tension up close and personal. So I really thought coming from outside of the council was really an advantage for me because I'd be coming in with a fresh set of eyes. Now, I was naive to think that it was going to be kumbaya when I took office, because then once you take office and you get into these very difficult jobs and making these very difficult decisions, you can see the council butt heads with each other on a regular basis, and I think probably the first 3 years I was in office, you saw that. You know, again, there wasn't like necessarily alliances or teams or anything, but I think everything that we were trying to do, you know, there was a little bit of a butting of heads. And I think that, you know, this year in particular, now I've kind of seen that fall to me. And that's difficult, right? Because these are difficult jobs and we got to make difficult decisions. But I think that's good. That's what government is. You want to have healthy discussion about everything we do. Do you want it to get contentious? Of course you don't. You want to all work together. Everything we do, everything that we have accomplished as a city these last 4 years, and I think you can look around and see all the wonderful things that has happened. The city council had a big part in that because they had to approve all those things. So again, look what we've got done the last 4 years, even with that butting of the heads, and I do think that's healthy. I look forward to working with the new council. We're going to have a lot of new councilors coming up in the new term, and I think it's still time that we can work together and get things done.
Councilor McCauley, 90 seconds on that.
Sure. So I'm on the other side of that, and I can tell you that we feel that there's a complete breakdown in respect and trust between the administration as well as the city council. And it's not a criticism, it's just reality. We've had some run-ins. The administration wanted to take over the clerk's office. They wanted to take over the parking department. We got legal opinions that sided with us, and that didn't happen. That broke down the relationship even further. The HR director was just that circus that went on was really just a breakdown altogether. It was a culmination of a breakdown of all logical thinking on both sides. So it's one of the things that we have to restore. We have to restore civility in the conversations. For those people who are outside the council looking in, you think that we're divisive, but we're not. We actually work very well together. This year we passed over 200 pieces of legislation in this session, and you can't do that if you're fighting with one another. When you go to city council chambers, it's the debate center. That's where you discuss things. If you want to work through details, you go to a committee meeting. So the council is a very functional organization. It represents very diverse wards and constituents that are out there. And so we need a partner in the mayor's office, and I will be that partner if you let me. Thank you.
Mayor, would you like to respond to that for a minute?
Well, I mean, I will say, around just some of the personnel things that have happened and that have become very public. We had a wonderful human resources director who worked for the city for 6 years. Her last day is Friday. And to see what she went through the council was really tough. And I do think it was because of me at the end of the day. And that's tough to know that, councilors are taking that personally to take things out on my office and the administration. And I think we can do better. We have a wonderful process going on right now where we have some great candidates coming in. But, we got to get back to, not letting, again, the clerk's office is a good example. They report to the council. And I would say that's probably the one department in the city right now that has done everything that they can to alienate themselves from the rest. We're all here for Newburyport. We all have to work together. We have many departments and many department heads who give so much to the city each and every day. And I do think once we can move forward collaboratively and think of better ways that we can work together, and again, having some new players involved, especially on the city council, I think we're going to be able to move forward.
Councilor, do you want another minute? Or are you good?
Yeah, it's not just the HR director, right? So we were told in April that we'd have a snapshot of what the budget would be, and that deadline came and went, and we were told, oh yeah, we made a mistake. And then we had to wait 2 weeks, and we were told that the budget was going to come in at 1.8%, and sure enough, it came in at 3.9%. And so it's just a series of withholding information, that's the problem. No one likes surprises. The council is a part-time job for many people. We adjust our work schedules and our personal schedules to be there. And when you don't get the right information and you don't get the right collaboration, then it's very frustrating. And so it can only be blamed on the administration itself. Why? Because they're less communicative to the city council. And that's a problem. It's a problem within the city because we're not collaborating. We're just constantly playing catch up on deadlines. Thank you.
So, kind of a same vibe question. So what will you do in your first 90 days in office to ensure that all employees feel safe sharing your concerns about the work environment? Councilor, you want to go first for 90 seconds?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, you have to acknowledge that the work environment's probably not the best that's down there. And so part of that is hopefully a change in administrations and a change in tone and tenor and a change of communication within each employee. Every employee, when they come to work, should feel that they're empowered to do the best they can for the city. They shouldn't be looking over their shoulder to see if they sent an email to a city councilor by accident and all of a sudden they're going to get called into the principal's office to explain why they're communicating outside of the norms. That's not okay. But that's the reality that's going on right now. And so what we have to do, and what I would do within the first 90 days, is have a serious conversation with staff in general, individuals on a one-to-one type basis, and find out what their concerns are. But I would pledge to them, as I've done in my own private world, is I would pledge to them that their opinions matter and that We're going to follow union rules. We're going to follow rules of merit. We're going to follow rules of open communication, and we're going to follow the rules of respect and customer service like rules for dealing with our dealing with the residents.
Mayor, 90 seconds.
Sure. Well, first 90 days when I'm just going to get to keep working, which is great. So I won't be out looking for a job. I'll be doing my job. We have some really great employees here in the city. And I do think right now a lot of what's contributing to some of what Mr. McCauley is referring to is that they just saw one of their department heads get really taken out, taken out back, for lack of a better term. And that's put everyone on edge, right? So I do think moving forward, especially if I'm lucky enough to serve as mayor, we're going to be really able to hit the ground running, because I think this has been hanging all over their heads. For an example, Mr. McCauley announced an endorsement from the Teamsters, which is our department head union. Actually, they have two different parts that they do. And he had immediately rescinded because just about every department head came and said that this is not right. And so what they were able to do is force their business agent, he lost his job representing them. And it just showed Mr. McCauley going around the administration in the city and talking to a union representative during collective bargaining. So again, you say you want to play by the rules, Mr. McCauley, but that is a huge, huge misstep. And hopefully it doesn't affect negotiations that we're in right now. But I do think that was a real rallying cry we saw in City Hall, and that was really nice to see after, again, having a couple different difficult months working with the City Council.
Councilor McCauley, you have 90 seconds for this one.
Yeah, so the Teamsters issue is way overblown. I did have a conversation with the executive board of the Teamsters and went through the normal application interview process, and they voted to endorse me. I have no control over the business agent and the communication with the individual members that they have. And that's typical of every union and typical of every endorsement that comes from a union going forward. Inferring that I've been reaching out to the business agent during negotiations to try to put my thumb on the scale of any negotiation going on is patently false. And so I have the right to have conversations with anyone in city government. It's in the charter. I can investigate anything that goes on. It's my right as a city councilor to obtain information. So inferring that I'm involving myself in personnel issues or inferring that I've been involved with negotiations that are going on is patently false, and I resent it.
I'd like to follow up on that, Councilor. I mean, considering you voted against the Teamster department head contract in January, did you even check with the local union members before accepting the endorsement?
So that's to me, right? Okay. So yes, I did, and again, I addressed that. I went to the committee meeting. I understood what, and through detail, what was actually in the contract itself. I told the business manager that I was going to vote against the contract, but I would, because I wanted to make a statement. I believe that the city's negotiation team got out and negotiated here. We gave them an incredible raise of 4.8% market adjustment in year 1, 2.5% and 3.5% year COLAs in year 2 and 3, and we didn't take into account the 14% increase that was going on in healthcare as part of negotiations. So I wanted to send a message to our own negotiation team that they got out and negotiated. The contract still passed, and I told the business agent and the union themselves why I was voting against it, and I was fully in support of the contract, just I needed to send a message.
Mayor, your response to that?
No, I got nothing to say. Speaks for itself.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to harp on this too much, but did you actually speak to Councilor McCauley, did you actually speak to the local members of the union, like the department heads?
I would not speak to the local members of a union about a union issue. You go through their business agent, or you go through the union contact.
And I think that's why department heads were so upset, because that's exactly what happened. They went around the department heads. And that puts them in a difficult spot because, regardless of who's going to be there come January 1st, they still got to go out there and work for the city, which is why they don't want their name attached to to an endorsement. They want to go out there and keep working for the people in Newburyport. And like I said, I was touched that there was such an outcry because of that. Like I said, we've got great people. These are difficult jobs, especially in this political climate, working city jobs, public jobs for public organizations. And again, we're lucky to have the people that we have here working for Newburyport.
Councilor, you get the last word on this one if you want.
Yeah, in regards to that, it's noted that none of the union members wanted to be named in the paper. A couple have reached out and asked me that I would support withdrawing it, and I said I would. But their concerns weren't so much that they weren't asked. They were concerned with the potential retaliation that would be going on within City Hall. And so I withdrew it as quickly as I could and understand the situation. So this is not the story of, there's a gap between reality and the story that's being told.
All right. There seems to be some mistrust in the eyes of some councilors regarding the city's legal counsel. Why do you think that's so, Councilor McCauley?
We constantly, and I've had this discussion with the council herself, in that we constantly keep getting opinions that are based on mass law and don't take into account the customizations that happen within our charter and the uniqueness of the city. I'll use an example. Newburyport has set up every department so that they have full functionality, every department, they have full functionality of the department themselves, but they don't have fiscal autonomy, Water and Sewer Board being one of them as an example. And so her opinions say, oh no, they have fiscal autonomy, but she, in a way, forgets that the charter in particular would override some of the things that happen on the state level. We have to be in compliance with the state, but there are some extra things that we would take advantage of. And so there's a consistency there of not fully vetting some of these opinions that she has completely through the charter and the particulars that we have here in Newburyport. We've made ourselves particular, and that's a flaw. So when we see multiple opinions that don't do that, then we have no choice but to have less faith in some of the outputs.
Yeah, I don't really see that. What I've seen the last couple of years, when I came into office, we had been working with a law firm, KP Law, for a number of years. And I didn't have any connection with them, right, because the schools use a different attorney. So when I came into office and some counselors, talked about some of their frustrations with the opinions that they had prior to me coming into office, I was open to it because I was new and I was trying to find a way to work collaboratively with the council. And so I moved forward with hiring a new, new city solicitor, Karis North and MHTL. And I've been very happy with the advice and the opinions that we've received from them. So now these are two now examples of the council, again, wanting to get rid of our legal advice and our legal support. I can tell you, I use legal every day. I do, because I'm so conscious of making sure that we're doing right by the citizens of Newburyport. There's so many different things that we have our hands in. There's so many regulations, so many contracts, so many things that we want to safeguard the city on and protect the city's interest on. And again, what I've seen the last couple of years is, if the opinion doesn't favor what a couple of councilors believe, even though it might not follow the law, then it must be wrong. And again, the privilege fees is a good example. We've had 3 different law firms now sign off on that. And yet we're going to go get a 4th opinion, which is just amazing. I don't think that's a good use of taxpayers' dollars. So it is frustrating. I do envision a new city solicitor in the new term, regardless of who's sitting here as mayor. But But again, I don't think there's. I think our legal advice that we get from the city is so important.
I mean, do you think that the mistrust is just goes beyond legal counsel in terms of just decorum and just feelings of, I guess one question is there a lot of angst in the city these days, Mayor?
As far as like employees?
Just the mood in general. I feel like
Well,
this
honestly,
really,
it's
the mood
very,
is really-
it reminds me of what's happening at the federal level right now, kind of to cast doubt on our legal system. I think, again, it's a slippery slope. We have a charter that we should be upholding, and again, there's been incidents that that hasn't been the case as well, and then there's legal opinions that we're getting on really important things. We should have one lawyer for the city of Newburyport. We are all in this together, and that's why we have one city solicitor. Dueling lawyers between branches of government is not productive either. So I do think moving forward, we will end up getting new legal representation. That'll be the third time in the last 4 years. But I think it's so important to make sure that we're really handling the city's business properly.
Councilor McCauley, what do you think about my statement about angst and feelings of unease in the city?
I think it's a good observation. I think that there is a certain level of angst. I think the city council would benefit from having legal counsel at their disposal to help them sort through some of the things they need to do. Legal counsel, the current city solicitor, does not adequately address the issues that the council has. It's just reality of it. An example would be in one of the opinions that we worked together in was the positioning. The council favored more release of information, and the council was advocating for the administration's position of withholding more information. And so we had an inherent conflict in a very basic, easy conversation. And so that just keeps multiplying as we layer on decision after decision after decision. So yeah, there's tremendous angst and frustration there.
I feel like that the angst is actually manifesting itself within the city council at meetings at some points. I've seen councilors get almost clench their fists and get really upset, and that's not good government, is it, Councilor?
So you're right. Some tensions have boiled over. I'll remind you, 15, 20 years ago, there used to be fistfights in the hallway. So I think we're actually a little bit better. We can call each other names, sticks and stones, right? So I do think that, remember, as I said earlier, the council chamber is the debate floor. And people come and they advocate hard. And sometimes it's frustrating if you can't convert your fellow councilors to see your point of view. But for the most part, when cooler heads prevail, we're all very congenial folks. We represent different folks. We understand people have different backgrounds and different experiences. And so, we do have, amongst ourselves, we do have some disagreements.
Mayor, you want to respond to that?
Well, I think the angst is really around, and the frustration is, we do have legal representation. I would love for the council to use the legal representation we have and that we're paying for even more, because they don't. They go off on their own, and that's why we have charter violations, and that's why we have legal opinions that are questioned, because it doesn't fit into someone's box of like what they think should happen. I think going through the process of naming the interim HR director is a great example of that. So I think that's what it is, and I think that's why it kind of mirrors what we're seeing in Washington right now as far as casting those doubts on our charter that we've set up, on the legal advice that we're getting. Again, we're all on the same team. The council should be just as actively reaching out to our city solicitor. You can't have dueling lawyers when we're all working for the same city moving forward.
Councilor, you want to say something else?
Yeah, I just, so here's an example. I reached out to the city solicitor on opinion, and it took 70 days for a follow-up. So I don't know how the city council can regularly use a single solicitor when administration items are prioritized over council issues. My issue is just as important as anyone else's. And, so again, it adds to the angst. And I don't think it's fair to say that the actions that are going on locally can be blamed on what's going on nationally. We're local individuals. We're local people. And so we can't blame what's going on in Washington for our own actions. And so I reject that. And I think that what we need to do is take a step back and have some mutual respect in our conversations.
And I wasn't blaming anyone there. I just think it's similar. I think we're seeing similar things.
Move on now. So this is a question for both of you. So there seems to be some disagreement about who drove the bus in terms of the city's current street and sidewalks plan. Please describe how you believe the plan unfolded. Mayor Reardon.
Co-architects right here, right? Well, you know, so there was a lot of streets and sidewalk work or discussions that happened before I took office, right? I think when I took office, I really wanted to prioritize that. I remember walking into city council chambers before we went upstairs to get sworn in, and the councilors that did come that day, I looked all around the room and said, hey, look, we are going to prioritize streets and sidewalks. I want to activate that bond that had just been hanging out there that was passed previously for streets and sidewalks. And then I immediately, when I got into office after that day, you know, sat down and worked directly with my staff and the DPS staff to formulate this plan. We had never had a plan publicly, transparent plan publicly posted so people could actually look up their streets. And the reason why we wanted to do that and then have it be a rolling plan so we can add each and every year is because it allows us to plan. And then having the funding in place, again, that $2 million pocket, which had been a previous bond that had been passed previous before taking office, we actually had to create a whole new piece of legislation to do that. We couldn't use the old one. But that has given us the stability, and by using ARPA funds to complete that, it's been given us the stability to fund the first 4 years of this plan. So again, it was a collaborative effort. There was a lot of people working on it. And again, I think we've seen the results. 62 streets. We just finished State Street last night, so that was a big deal. To drive up on State Street today was pretty great, and over 15 miles of streets and sidewalks. So the plan's working. We just have to keep investing in our streets and sidewalks. It's a huge quality of life issue for the reporters.
Councilor?
Yeah, so I would agree that it was a true collective effort. It started with the previous administration. It started with former Councilor Wallace as well, who was a driving force behind this. Yes, and everyone wanted the same thing. We had a great formula, up to $2 million. That would be Chapter 90 money, that would be 50% of the meals tax, and the rest would be bonded. So the bonding would be a different amount potentially every year. And so what we needed were the actual streets. We had commissioned previously a engineering design study from Beta, who presented a very large document to us, multi-page document. And so it was a matter of prioritization in the mayor's first quarter that he was here to be able to have city staff be able to pick out 15 streets or so going forward. And so, you know, I think we all are grateful that we were able to work together and offer leadership from the administration side, and as well as support and fiscal support and oversight from the legislative side, which we did. And I think that's an example of how we collectively work together, and I think it's a priority that the next council would take on as well.
Mayor, anything else to that, or are you good?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it speaks more to roles of the executive branch and the legislative branch, right? Like everything that we do, whether it be managing projects from start to finish, putting good plans together, good planning leads to good results, those have to be approved financially from the council. So again, they don't get to draw up the plans, but they can collaborate and help us get these plans in motion. And again, they were very supportive of the Streets and Sidewalks plan. I'm very appreciative of that. I'm appreciative to Jamie Tuccolo and others down at DPS who were here at the time to design the plan. Again, it's gone through different iterations over the last couple of years with Wayne Amaral, and now we're looking for our next DPS director, and I'm sure the plan will continue to evolve. I mean, this year in particular, you know, we had a couple of great streets that we worked on, but we could have done a better job working with the neighbors ahead of time. And again, why it's important to have the plan in place is that you get to do all that planning in the fall so you can have successful spring's paving season. So this year, we're bringing neighborhood meetings into the fold just so we're all on the same page of what's happening there and how the work's going to be, and then work out a lot of those problems in the fall, and then to do it in the spring.
Council, any thoughts before I move on?
It's the fall, and we don't have a plan for next year. And so, and so that's kind of the issue that we face when you talk about why there's angst and anxiety and mistrust is we're told we're having meetings in the fall, and it's the middle of the fall, and we don't have a plan. And so, everybody wants better streets. Everybody wants better sidewalks. Everybody in this room probably would vote to have Federal Street moved up on the list, right? And so that's the kind of collaboration we want to get to, and, it's give and take.
Can I just say one more thing there? We do have a plan. You can go on the website and look at it right now. We just finished our paving season 12 hours ago. So the meetings are coming up for next year, but we're excited. We've got another great group of streets to do next year.
Councilor McCauley, do you want to ask your opponent another question, or?
Sure. Is it time to do that? Okay. So, I'll try to be brief on this. Recent closing of the Richmond Center at Kelleher Park, I know it was a hard decision. My question is about the disposal of the city assets. Both the city finance director and city procurement officer alerted you and staff that disposal of the city assets needed to follow state law, 30B. But it appears that you allowed staff not to follow state law and improperly give away city assets. What do you tell residents about not following the law and not ensuring staff follow the law about improperly giving away city assets?
Sure, and this will be short just because I believe this is more of an HR question and I can't really comment on HR things, but we were made aware of that and we dealt with it swiftly. And it's also led to a new policy that we've put together around excess supply of materials in this type of situation that would have been applied here. So we identify it, we worked on a policy, we've got a wonderful new finance director, Amy Sorrow, who's working on this. She's also our interim HR director come Monday. But we move forward, and then the employees involved were dealt with as well. It's going to lead to some training for the whole city on this as a refresher about how do we handle these types of situations moving forward. And like I said, we dealt with it swiftly. Again, it was a difficult situation, and we handled it properly.
Okay. Mayor, you have a chance to ask your opponent one more question if you like.
Sure. Councilor McCauley, you were the leader of the No for the Wreck campaign along with your wife. You have repeatedly questioned the existence of Newburyport Youth Services and how they operated during your time as councilor. You have also tried to cut from our school budget each year except for this past year after you announced your run for mayor. Why do you think investing in our children and our schools is not a good investment for the city?
So I don't necessarily buy the premise that I don't want to invest in our children. I have not cut the school budget, and I have not voted to cut the school budget in the last 2 or 3 years. We've had discussions about it. I think, again, you have to go back to what the council does. They get a line item of $40 million, and if they say yes, they can't ask questions. And if they say no, but I have a question, they can ask questions and they can stimulate debate. At the end of the day, the school budgets have passed. For the most part, they've gotten 100% of what they've asked for. So I don't see any noise that might happen before them getting that vote is just that, it's just noise. In terms of the rec center, I was not a leader of it. My wife was a leader of it. She felt very strongly about it. And she felt very strongly about the fact that there was a yes campaign that was highly organized, and there was a no campaign that wasn't organized at all. And she took it upon herself. She's a very good organizer and administrator. And she took it upon herself to organize opposition. She didn't plan on winning, but she wanted to make sure that the opposition voices weren't bullied or they weren't outshouted at certain venues. And so I think she did a very good job on that. The vote happened. The vote happened along the lines that everyone thought it would, that it would pass. And I think everyone was cordial and respectful in the process.
Thank you. Mayor, do you want another minute for that, or are you good?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You're good? Okay. All right. So, depending on who you ask, the city is either in good financial shape or is about to fall to the abyss. what is the true state of the city's finances? And please explain it so those kids over there can understand it. Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think our finances are strong. I think we're in a great position. If you look at the last 25 years here in the city, our levy has grown responsibly, 3.88%. My opponent talks a lot about excess levy capacity. The most levy capacity we've had in the last 25 years was 2023, where we had 900,000 in excess levy capacity. What did we do with that excess levy capacity? We built a West End fire station, we bonded for streets and sidewalks, and the Plummer Springs Bridge. All three critically important projects moving forward. So there's that. We have strong reserves, over $5 million in our stabilization funds alone. And we also have capacity to bond right now. We have over $8 million in bonding capacity right now. And again, this is just me saying that. You can go on our city website right now and find these things out, or talk to our finance director, Amy Saro. We have experts out there working on this. So I do think it's a little bit of a scare tactic to say that our finances are in trouble. You can look around the Commonwealth right now too with communities like Amesbury making really difficult decisions for overrides. We're not in that place right now. And certainly there are outside influences on the budget. This past year it was health insurance. The year before that it was the trash contract. We still have our AAA bond rating. And it's important, the Standard & Poor, don't look favorably on excess levy limits, which is why the last 25 years that excess levy limit has gone up and down as far as when we do projects. But they do look favorably on our strong reserves, what we have, and our relatively no debt. So we're in a good position here in Newburyport moving forward because of our careful planning.
Councilman Macaulay, 90 seconds.
Yeah, sure, thanks. So I do think that we have concerns. We are on the watch list on our AAA bond rating. We do have some concerns in terms of our ability to fund some of the projects that we want. We fund those things through excess levy capacity. As an example, this year we have 0 excess levy capacity. Amesbury, by comparison, has $34,000 of levy capacity, and then they're moving to an override. Yes, we have $8 million of long-term bonding capabilities, but we're in a situation much like many seniors are. We're house rich and cash poor. In order to access that $8 million, we have to actually have money to pay the mortgage, and that's where it comes from excess levy capacity. And if we have 0 excess levy capacity, then we really can't tap into the equity that we've built up and be able to bond on a long-term basis for some of the projects that we're looking for. And remember, the projects that we're looking to engage on are things like finishing the high school roofs and the middle school roof of collectively $3 million, to repair the high school, which is estimated at $5 million. And those two items alone would eat up any bonding capability of $8 million alone. So it's not a scare tactic, it's a wake-up call. I've had, that's where it is.
You have a minute if you want to.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll take the minute. I do think we have planned carefully for this. If you've gone to any budget presentation over the last 3 years, we've been talking about Plummer Springs Bridge. We've been talking about the 2 roof projects. We are lucky we are in the Massachusetts School Building Authority program that's going to reimburse us 43% of those 2 roof projects. We could do those roof projects tomorrow. Now, we're not ready to. We have to do schematic design this fall. But we are absolutely ready to finally move forward on those projects with the state through the MSBA program. Some other things that could possibly be bonded for. Remember, we've only bonded for 3 projects within that levy limit using that excess levy capacity in the last 4 years, and they were critical projects that we moved forward with. These next 4 years, I don't see a lot of those projects. Like we talked about the roofs, very critical. I think the boardwalk is going to be a huge project. We've already applied for 2 really significant strategic grants that I think we have a good chance on. But if we did have to bond for that project, we certainly could. So I do think one of the things that we have working for us, again, we're not cash poor. We have over $5 million in stabilization funds that we can work with too. So I think Newburyport has done a really good job. Ethan Manning and now Amy Saro.
Counselor, you like a minute on that too?
Yeah, so the stabilization fund is what we call our rainy day fund, and it's critical that we maintain about 5% of our general fund revenue going forward. And we've maintained that, and every finance director, we've had one, and now the next one will all say that having a stabilization fund is very key to maintaining the stability of our finances. I don't think anyone should be talking about tapping into our stabilization fund to pay daily bills along the way. When we talk about the roofs, we're not in a situation where we could do it tomorrow. And understand that out of the $3.5 million that is required of the roof, and the state will pick up 43%. Like every grant, they don't pay for it all. And we'll have to fund I think the number is close to $3 million for the two roofs themselves. And so that's just the construction part. So I do think that it's a little bit more dire than we're having a conversation about.
Do you want another minute?
No, I think it's, I think it's more of an election time thing, right? To get people concerned and worked up over our finances. Again, we have great plans in place, and we've done some really great things these last 4 years. And we've got a good plan for the next 4 years. It's talking about planning for those water infrastructure projects. We're not going to be able to do those alone. There's going to have to be state and federal help when we get those projects ready. We talked about the boardwalk. We talked about the school roofs. We're going to continue leveraging CPA funds for the next few years. There's a lot of good things that we have in place. And it's not just the rainy day fund. We also have reserves that we go back to, too. So I'm not planning to tap into those, but we have set ourselves up for success here. And that's why we're not going through something that Ames Street's going through as far as going through an override right now. But again, the outside pressures are there. We're going to have another hit to our health insurance this year, and we're planning for that. We talked about trash, $500,000 increase in trash before that. So there will always be those outside pressures. Our school budgets are still going to have pressures around special education costs and transportation costs. We have to manage all that moving forward, and that's why putting responsible budgets together is so important.
Council, you have last word for a minute?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. We're at a crossroads, and that it's not dire. We're at a crossroads. We have a AAA bond rating. We pay our bills. We have a plan, but our plan is going to be delayed because we don't have the cash to be able to access it. That's reality. And I don't think we could do the roofs and the boardwalk in the same year. And that's not me talking, that's the balance sheet talking. And so, again, we're at a crossroads, and it's not election hype. It is the reality that I'm not alone in saying that. And so we need to understand that finances are very important, because the only way to drive additional revenue right now is through increased taxes. So we talk about being able to spend more, but again, that comes with increased taxes and increased burden on the taxpayer. I think we need to pivot, and I hope we can pivot to growing our revenue and growing the city in other aspects. Sorry.
That's all right. People are starting to leave, so I'm going to ask one more question, and then we can call it a night. So what are the best opportunities for new growth in the city? And what will you do to pursue those? Mayor, you can go first on that.
Well, I think we've already talked about a lot of it. We talked about Kmart, we talked about Waterfront West, the third Minco building. I think that's a big part of our finances, is how do you balance what we're doing on a day-to-day basis with new growth? And I think that's why Newburyport's been so successful all these years. Again, we're a victim of our own success. Our assessments have gone up every year since 2010 because we are a desirable place to live. I look around every day and say, oh my goodness, I cannot believe how lucky we are to live here. Great schools, great amenities, and people expect that. So it is balancing that, but I do think new growth is incredibly important. And when you have a city as built out as Newburyport is, that's why things like celebrating and supporting and recruiting for our business park is so important to get more commercial growth here into the city. Economic development, we had an economic development plan in 2023 that didn't go anywhere. I'd like to get the new council going on that and get some initiatives going to get that back going in the city. New growth from all those projects I just mentioned. So having that balance is what makes Newburyport successful, and I think that moving forward, we have to be really strategic. I think the rezoning of Story Ave is a huge opportunity for more mixed use. Again, apart from Kmart, rezoning that gateway to the city, again, make it pedestrian, bicycle friendly, but also take advantage of reimagining that part of town. I think that's what the residents want there. And then if you throw in the park and ride as a possible opportunity too, we can get some opportunity there as well. I mean, even something like the Brown School, which has deeply affordable housing, the city's going to actually get some revenue from that for those 60% units. So there's a lot of opportunity in the next couple of years.
Councilor McCauley?
Yeah, so I think that we sometimes conflate new growth with building new houses. And then we talk about affordability, right? So if we build 10 new houses today, we'd have $10 million houses. And so we're not necessarily, if we talk about new growth, that's what we talk about. I think we've got to pivot off that, and we've got to talk about growing and developing our commercial base. And so we need to rejuvenate some of the underutilized commercial spaces, and we only do that in partnership with the Chamber and the larger business community in general, and create a true collaborative partnership that, if elected, I would lead for the next 6 months to make sure that we jump-started commercial growth and activity, to encourage new businesses to come here, to support entrepreneurs and their ecosystems that usually follow them along the way, and make it more of a thinking place that Newburyport truly is. We're a cultural arts center, but we're also full of thinkers and doers and dreamers, and entrepreneurs could survive here as long as they had some appropriate level space, and that can only happen through collaboration. We need to build up our commercial businesses. We need to take the industrial park and make it a true business park, and we need to invest heavily in time and effort into our growing healthcare business. And we need to make sure that the hospital is here and stays secure, because it's a whole anchor into our community.
Any other comments, or can we go to? Okay. I think we're going to go for closing comments now, and closing statements, I should say. And Councilor McCauley, you go first.
I'm first. I come before you as a lifelong believer in the power of community, the promise of progress, and the values that unite us. I'm running to build a city government that listens, responds, and leads with integrity. This campaign is not about me, it's about us. It's about the single parent who needs affordable childcare, the small business owner who is struggling, the parent with the special needs child that is falling behind, the empty nesters struggling with the thought of downsizing, the senior who deserves dignity, not just empty promises. It's about every resident who's ever felt unheard or unseen by local government. We've knocked on doors, we've held town halls, we've built an unlikely coalition that reflects the full diversity of our city, and we're just getting started. But to win, we need to work together. I need your energy, your networks, and most of all, your belief in what we can achieve together. With your help, we can turn this campaign into a movement, and this movement into a mandate for change, and continue to make Newburyport a shining star. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, your turn.
Well, thank you to the Daily News, Dave, Karen, Catherine, thank you for all your hard work tonight. Councilor McCauley, thank you for being here. You know, elections are about choices, and this one is between steady, solutions-driven leadership and a politics of divisions and disruptions. Over the past 4 years, we've proven that progress can happen when you bring people together, listen, and do the work. We've invested in schools, infrastructure, and clean energy, and we've planned responsibly for what's next, from rebuilding the boardwalk to opening the new Recreation and Youth Services Center. I'm proud of our record, but I'm even more excited for what's ahead. Completing key projects, expanding housing opportunities, and protecting the Newburyport we love for generations to come. If you want a mayor who shows up, tells the truth, and delivers the truth, and delivers results, I ask for your vote on Tuesday, November 4th. Together we'll keep Newburyport moving, onward, forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So that about wraps it up. As you kind of figure that out, it's wrapping up time. And I want to thank Karen Trowbridge and Catherine Gendron from the Newburyport Democratic City Committee for keeping perfect time and holding up cards. So thank you very much. I also want to apologize for not mentioning them during the No Kings rally on Saturday. My apologies for that. I want to thank Sarah Hayden and her whole crew for recording this for posterity. And I want to thank the candidates for showing up and giving it their all. And please make sure you vote on November 4th. It's very important. Okay? Good night, everyone. Go Patriots.